Church right here. And, I used to live in South Pasadena. It's so great to have some South Pasadena people in the house right here. But now I made the logical progression to South Central. And Brittany and I just moved down to South Central, and we're up in the hood. And I don't wear all blue anymore. You know what I mean? That would be a gang reference, and I can't do that. But, it's crazy because as we lived in this place, we didn't realize, we got a great deal on the place. I mean, we got a steal. And you always wonder, what's the catch? I was like, there is no catch. This is perfect. Until Friday night comes around. And all of a sudden you start hearing a... Like, what is that? And then you hear something like... And so now there's like... And then... Right? And then there's like some grunge music, like Adele playing off in the background. And now I got like Kanye West, Adele, and Mana, and all these other Cubanismo stuff going on. And if you like music, then you should come over to our place on a Friday nights. And literally, Brittany's texting me. She's saying, literally, it's like they're screaming at my window right now. And we're hearing bottles breaking and people screaming. And I'm like, I'm going to take Cujo out on a walk and just see what the heck is going on outside. And sure enough, there's like 3 different houses all around us just partying their brains out right here. And there's a catch, that's the catch. But I think being at a university, we live right next to University of Southern California, a.k.a. University of South Central. Amen? And not University of Spoiled Children, because I came out of there, and I am not spoiled. I'm not picky at all. Just ask Brittany. And, being there, it reminds me of a parable in the Bible. It reminds me of the parable of a young man who was tired of being with his parents, his dad, and so he goes out, in a sense, kind of like to college, to party his brains out. It's a parable that Jesus tells us in Luke 15. It's called the parable of the prodigal son. And being a man who, in a sense, left the kingdom and is a spiritual prodigal son, I feel like this is something for a lot of us who even are in the room right now and want to be restored. Yeah! Come on. It's awesome, but we all got to understand, all of us at some point needs to get restored. Yeah, true, bro. That's right. And so I think this is going to relate to you, wherever you might be at, in relation to the house of our Father in heaven. Let's turn our Bibles to Luke chapter 15. Come on, bro. Verse 11. Jesus continued. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger one said to his father, "Father, give me my share of the estate." So he divided his property between them. Not long after that, the younger son got together all he had, set off for a distant country, and there squandered his wealth in wild living. After he'd spent everything, there was a severe famine in the whole country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to a citizen of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed pigs. Wow. He longed to fill his stomach with the pods, that the pigs were eating. But no one gave him anything. When he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired men have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I will set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. Make me like one of your hired men. So he got up and went to his father. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, quick! Bring the best robe and put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead, and he's alive again. He was lost and is found.
So awesome.
So they began to celebrate. Meanwhile, the older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing. So he called one of the servants and asked him what was going on. Your brother has come, he replied, and your father's killed the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound. The older brother became angry and refused to go in. So his father went out and pleaded with him. But he answered his father, look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders. But when this son of yours, who squandered your property with prostitutes, comes home, you kill the fat calf for him? My son, the father said, you're always with me, and everything I have is yours. But we had to celebrate.
Amen.
And be glad. Because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again.
Come on.
He was lost and is found.
Come on.
It's the story of the beloved prodigal son. And I think, you see a lot of things right here. You see a heart that leads to the darkness. And that's where the son was at in the beginning. If we take a look at his conversation before he leaves, you see a man in his father's house, but with a heart that took him to the darkness. And for us, you have to think, what is that heart? If you look back in verse 12, it says, here's his sentence. Here's our glimpse into this heart. It says, Father, give me my share of the estates. Can you hear it? Can you hear the heart? Does it echo right there to you? You give me my share. What's his focus? His self. What I want. What I deserve. What am I going to get? I want this. It's not enough. I need more. It's not good enough. I'm not happy with my life. Give me more. Is it too loud right now? Sorry. My voice is really loud. I don't really need a microphone, but amen. You know, when we break down the parable, you see there's the house of the Father. And this is a parable, meaning that it's an earthly story with a heavenly meaning. So who's the heavenly Father? That would be easy. God.
Right.
And what is God's house? Well, that's easy too. His church, his kingdom.
Yeah.
And so inside God's house, inside the church, there's this man who's focused on himself.
Yeah.
What am I getting? How is this making me better? What do I get from this? And so there's a heart of selfishness. The heart of selfishness takes somebody out of God's house.
That's true, bro. Yeah.
For anybody who's fallen away, you know this is true.
Yeah.
You know that what took you out was your selfishness.
Yeah.
You were so focused on your own life. So just not caring about God, not caring about his kingdom, just thinking about yourself, thinking about what you wanted, that eventually it led you out of the path that separated you from God and separated you from his kingdom. I know because it was me. I was there. Here in Pasadena, in the central region, singing on stage with Vicki James back in Glendale, back in the day. And even being a song leader. And some of those old people from that old fellowship told me, you were my favorite song leader. I was like, wow, you still remember me? But there came a point where I was like, oh, I'm struggling spiritually. I think I'm going to stop singing and focus on myself. There came a point where I thought, nobody cares about me. I'm just going to do what I want to do. And then when people tried to correct me, I got ticked off at them. And I left. And then I said, you know what? I'm not coming back till they call me. What are you going to do for me? And so you know what God allowed? Nobody to call. Said, oh, it's all about you? Okay. Well, let me just take it all away. And the months and the years went by, and I left the house. You know, for us, I mean, you may think, oh, that's not me. Well, are you wavering back and forth between following God?
Yeah, talk about it, bro.
If so, you're focused on yourself.
Yeah.
Maybe you're looking back to your old life.
Oh, wow.
Ever go to sleep at night? It's been a rough day, and you think, man, I just had it so much better before I was a disciple. That's the heart of the first son.
Yep.
What is in it for me? Maybe it's too inconvenient for you right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Maybe later I'll do it, but right now I got my own life to live. That's the heart of the first son. It's about my life, not about you. Maybe you just simply turn your heart from God every now and then. You know you're in sin. You know it's wrong, but you do it because you put your own life first above him. This happens when you click on an image that you know you shouldn't.
Come on, bro.
And you decide, me, mine, now.
Right. Talk about it, bro.
And you turn your heart on the living God who cares about you. And you say, I don't care. You just look at my back as I look at sin.
Wow.
And God's crying because it's all about yourself. You know, when we're selfish, it takes us out of the kingdom. And it's awesome to be in a place where there's selfless people. Is that cool? Like, isn't it cool to hear VL sing some of the most crankin' singing a cappella you've ever heard? VL, we had our Kids Kingdom service, And VL comes in with just two sisters, Bianca and Renee.
Come on.
Right?
Come on, Bianca.
And VL. And it literally blew the roof off that little room with those 6 Kingdom Kid teachers. And I was just telling them, doing the same lesson, I was like, that is a heart of somebody who gives.
Yeah, that's true.
A guy who comes in, he doesn't care what people think. He's just fired up to sing in the kingdom and all call upon the Lord. And it's from the bottom of his heart. And he's happy. And he smiles. Amen? And you should be concerned if the person next to you is not singing. Because they might be in that me, my, now. I don't feel like singing. It's not what I want to do right now. You know, seeing the Molinas, they're in Kids Kingdom right now too. Allowing people to use their house all the time. And getting it ready, preparing it. You know, I appreciate the people who have cars in this ministry. Because they serve even when somebody inconsiderately and rudely asks them for a ride at the last minute. Which is a very rude, isn't that rude? Try doing that at your job. Try doing that at your job. Hey, can you give me a ride home? I just live like 30 minutes away from here. I know we just got off and it's like 11 p.m., but it's just 30 minutes. I know you got a kid and a wife waiting for you, but it's just 30 minutes. Come on. You got me, right? And then the person guiltily says yes because they're a disciple of Jesus at the cost of their family and their relationship and their own sleep because you didn't ask them ahead of time. Amen. That's a side note. But I know a lot of you are convicted and a lot of you are fired up at the same time. But that's selfish. That's selfish to do that and not think about somebody a day ahead.
Come on.
That's very selfish. That person, if they don't repent, is sooner or later going to find themselves going back to the world. And so we have to look and say, okay, am I selfish? You know, we sing this song called Be With Me, Lord. And I have a love-hate relationship with this song. It's a catchy song, right? It's sometimes I feel like I could fight an army with just me and you, and there's no one could harm. You're like, cool, this is good. Then it gets to the second verse. But sometimes I can feel a little shy. And in me, I get a little ticked, you know? Let's just be real. Shy's not in the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, what is shy? Like, when can you study out shyness? Now, this is really hard because I've been trying to repent from shyness since I was like 13 years old. Amen. And now I'm like preaching. Like I'm at least making progress. But shyness isn't in the Bible. Shyness is basically like fear and self-focus. And so really in the Bible, shyness would just basically boil down to being selfish and being a coward. So if sometimes you feel a little shy, let's be very clear, you're in total sin. Amen? You're like, but I listen to Nine Inch Nails, and shyness is like part of my identity, you know? But I listen to Nine Inch Nails as well, okay? So we can talk about that. But let's go to Proverbs chapter 18 real quick.
Come on, bro. Come on, Mike.
Proverbs 18 verse 1.
Come on, Mike.
It says, an unfriendly man pursues selfish ends. He defies all sound judgment. You know, for me, just a little background. I graduated from University of Southern California, and my major, I could have chosen business. I could have chosen accounting. I could have chosen something that would have really made my wife fired up in case I had to go out in the workforce, you know, and work a secular job here. But instead, I chose performance jazz saxophone. You know what I mean? Like every white kid from the suburbs who believes he's going to be the greatest of his art class, no matter what. This is like, I don't know. All my friends thought we're going to be the greatest. We're literally going to take over the world with jazz. And we're going to go to New York City and we're going to form our own best friend band. And everybody's going to know us for the rest of eternity because we're going to be the best jazz musicians. And, being a jazz musician is kind of like you got to have a little bit of an attitude. Like I'm just ticked off. You know what I mean? And just have a bad attitude. Like jazz musicians, some of them are very unfriendly people. You know what I mean? Partly it's because they hate the music you listen to. And they take it personally. How dare you listen to a song with 3 chords in it? And like it? It has 3 chords. My little baby can play 3 chords. Lana knows what I'm talking about. Her cousin is like a world famous jazz bass player. Like literally, if you would go to an all-star basketball game and see Kobe, that's basically the equivalent of her cousin. He's like world famous. But he might agree with me, like how dare you play 3 chords and call that music? And so there's this anger, this is ticked off, but it's so selfish. I think in our culture, it's kind of cool to be a little unfriendly. You know what I mean? But we have to understand, guys, that is sin. That is wrong. It's an unfriendly man pursues selfish ends. And so when you come in, amen, we got to be friendly. We got to be caring. You're going to get a lot of hugs. That's awesome. So there's a lot of friendliness in the room. Amen? What about outside the room? You're like, oh, yeah, everybody in here. Well, how about on the 110 in downtown? You know what I'm talking about? When they cut you off with no blinker and then slow down. There's not even someone in front of them. And they come out and never slow down. I just want to throw this over. I think sometimes we got to up our friendliness to the people in the world. Paul, in 2 Timothy, Paul says this incredibly illustrative, but you can tell he's a little sarcastic when he says it. He says, listen, here's a trustworthy saying that deserves full acceptance. You guys ready? Right now, I'm going to give you a trustworthy saying. And you need to chew on this. And it deserves full acceptance. You ready? Ready for this nugget?
Yeah. Give us a nugget, bro.
Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners. There's your nugget. You want a more nugget than that? There's your nugget. And a lot of times, we don't have that heart. We came into the world to get ticked off at sinners. And then get in trouble because we're not sharing our faith with them. You know what I mean? But how can you share if you don't love them? It's intense. Jesus loved them all the way to the cross. Even as the nails went in his feet, he was saying, please forgive them. We're not talking about getting cut off on the freeway. We're talking they put nails in your feet. Have you ever prayed for somebody that cut you off? God, please forgive them. They don't even know what they're doing. Not meaning they don't have a license, but they just don't know. They just don't realize. But do you have that kind of love for people? And are you friendly to the people outside? Amen? Somebody who's not sharing the faith is selfish. That's how. What more selfish could be than holding back eternal life from the people that God puts in your path? How selfish is that? That they're going to hell. They don't have anybody to show them the lights, and you have it, and you don't say a word. That's true selfishness. And so it's awesome. Even at Bible Talk, this is cool. PCC, we have Bible Talk on Wednesday. I got to be there. They had 20 guests come out to Bible Talk. Is that incredible? And so you see all these people come and check it out, and there's a heart of, hey, we got to get the word out. We got to get it out. And so how's it going with your Bible talk? You know, it's interesting. When Jesus discipled his disciples, everything he says in the end had to do with not making disciples. Right? John 13, 34 to 35. He says, a new command I give you, love one another. Why? Because this is right? No, because by this all men will know that you're my disciples. It's about all men in this world knowing who's the disciples. In John 15, Jesus says, hey, remain in me, and you're not going to get cut off and get thrown into the fire. No, every branch in me has to stay in me. So remain in me. And you're like, well, what do you do? Well, remain in me means obey my commands. Okay, what's your command? My command is this: love one another. So Jesus is saying, hey, do you want to bear fruit? Then you got to love each other. And this is the awesome thing about the kingdom, that we want to change the world. And Jesus says, you want to change the world? Okay, great. Then you got to love each other.
Come on, bro.
Because if you don't love each other, you're not going to change anybody.
That's true, bro.
And so now, as a Bible talk, we're focused on, hey, I need to love you. Not based on who you are, but based on the fact that I need to go help people become disciples. So therefore, I need to love you. Is this incredible?
Come on, bro.
So, as you love somebody, not based on who they are, but because of the mission Jesus gave you, what's so cool is you start realizing this person is really awesome. Because you're focused on your mission. But when you're focused on loving somebody because you like them, you never actually love them the whole way that you're supposed to. Because you see all the faults, right? Like they do this wrong, they do this wrong, they do this wrong. I can't really love them. But when Jesus says, no, you have to love them. If you don't, you're not going to make disciples. Then this is a great, cool relationship that you've never seen before. It's a relationship based on making disciples, not based on that person's interests and matches of your own.
Come on.
And so by this, every Bible talk can love each other the way they're supposed to. It's not like, well, but my Bible talk, I mean, have you ever seen these guys? Have you heard the lesson? There's not even questions. The brothers don't even bring food. They look at all the sisters. I don't know. But Jesus says, no, if you're going to make disciples, you got to love them. So that love is the opposite of selfishness. And so for us, we have to love these people. Why? Because God commands it? Yes, but he makes it clear. Jesus says, if you're going to make disciples, you got to love people.
Come on, bro. Yeah, come on, bro.
You got to love you got to love the people in your group. And so a non-fruitful Bible talk is a Bible talk where people don't want to make disciples.
Wow.
Right? But then you say, well, why not? Why don't you want to make disciples? Because you're not loving the people in your group.
That's true, bro.
You don't really love them. How much do you really call them? How much time do you really spend with them? How much do you really encourage them? How much do you think about them? How much do you pray for them?
Come on, bro.
If you're not doing that for the people in your group, that's an unfruitful Bible talk.
Come on, bro. Yep.
Why do we do it? Because we want to see our Bible talk multiply.
Come on, bro.
We want to see other people make it. Amen? Okay. You know, a selfish thing that we can pray, and I don't know if you've ever prayed this. God, take away the problems. God, my heart, it's so hard. Take these problems away, please. But you know what God hears you saying? God, I'm sick of needing you. Let me go on my own. Give me my share of the estate. Take my problems away so I don't need to be with you anymore. Instead, God says, listen, I thought we were going to work these problems out together. I thought you were going to be one-on-one with me, and we were going to go through life on an adventure, and you get to see me as I fight for you and protect you as your great shield and your reward. But instead, we ask God to take away the problems. And so here we have to say, no, God, I want to stick with you through the problems. Give me the strength to overcome them. Amen? You know, here the sun goes off to the dark world. And what's intense is he's in this dark world because of his own selfish hearts. You know, the world is a dark, dark place. But I think we focus on the darkness and we forget the heart that leads to the darkness. We forget that it's the selfishness in the disciple that leads them to the darkness. Once you're in the darkness, it's brutal. For me, I'll never forget, I left the church, and then I was a bartender literally right around the corner here. You go up to Colorado, you make a left, that's where I was working as a fallaway. I left the church, and I'm working at a bar. And at that bar, I saw the darkness. And so here I am, a prodigal son, gone. Give me my share of the estate. I want to go live my life. I want to use my own talents for myself, not for you anymore, God. And so I stopped working for God and started working and using everything I had for my own selfish pleasure. I used my personality to seduce people. I used my intellect to steal money from my job. I was arrogant and wouldn't even care, like if cops were chasing me, I'd speed on my motorcycle on the freeway, go like 150 miles an hour, things like that, like just stupid. And in the end, seeing the darkness, I mean, you're in a bar, you're there, people are just flat drunk. I mean, you come in, and here's the interesting thing. The media, the culture, when they show partying, they show the very beginning of partying. They show you walk in the doors all fired up and happy. But, around my house, we get to hear the partying at the very end. And you know what it sounds like? It sounds like a bunch of zombies. Like, nobody shows that. You don't see any videos with a bunch of zombies that are stumbling all over themselves. I'm sitting here as a bartender looking at people making out as they're waiting for their car. The girl pushes a guy away and throws up right behind her. You think, this is crazy. And then she wipes her mouth, turns back, and starts kissing the guy again. And start like 100% all in kissing right here. You don't see a music video on that. But that's where it leads.
That's right.
When we see the darkness, you see the very beginning, and it looks so good.
Yeah, talk about it, bro.
I can have my own schedule. I could have Sunday mornings off.
Right.
Wow. But then divorce.
Come on, bro. Come on, Mike.
I don't have anybody asking me about my life all the time. But then your life is full of sin and destruction.
Come on, Mike.
And so, as disciples, it's incredible. But we have to be shrewd. The darkness looks cool in the very beginning.
Yeah.
But once you get deep in that darkness, just like this guy did, you find out it's a very bad place.
Right.
To the point where he couldn't even eat the seeds the pigs were eating.
Wow.
In 2 Peter, it says, when you leave, you return to your own vomit.
Right.
Here, he couldn't even eat his own vomit. But he wanted to.
Wow.
See, the world, if you go back, or if you stay there, outside, is a place where you're going to want to eat your own vomit sooner or later.
It's true, bro.
And you won't be able to.
Yeah.
You won't even be able to eat your own vomit out there. What does that mean?
Yes, bro.
We think these immoral relationships will fix our hearts
No, that's right.
when it destroys us.
It's true, bro.
It's a short time of pleasure, only to be shared with a stranger the next week, or month, or year. We live for ourselves only to realize what an empty thing to live for when my family's falling apart. And so we want to eat our own vomit, but that vomit gets further and further away till we can't eat it anymore. And so that son got to that point. Now here's what's so awesome.
Come on, bro. Tell us.
Go back to Luke 15. You guys still with me right now?
Great stuff, bro.
Verse 17.
Come on, Mike.
It says, when he came to his senses, he said, how many of my father's hired men have food to spare, and here I am starving to death? I'll set out and go back to my father and say to him, Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. We'll stop right there. Here, he's in that dark, dark place. The pigs just eating the food. Yeah. He's like, man, I wish I could have that. You guys are so lucky. And then, boom! Vision. His dad's house. The food. The hired money to get food. And another place to live. And I have a shot to go back. Yeah. And he gets a vision. You know, a lot of times we're in the darkness because we have no vision.
That's right.
We don't see anything. We don't realize you got to have a vision for your life. So, you know, it's awesome to see like Austin and Joey and Casey and Monica. And they're in the ICCM. Amen? It's the International College of Christian Ministry. What that does is trains them to be able to become future church leaders one day. Is that incredible? Joey just got appointed as an intern for the Central Region. That's incredible. This was a guy who could have gone to a Division II school and had a shot at going to the NFL. And he just started playing football, so a lot of talents. But he says, you know what? I'm retiring. Yeah. He goes to the PCC football team. Guys, I'm retiring. Hang my number up. You can put it up, or you can do whatever you want, but I'm going to train to be a minister now. See, we have to have vision like that to stay out of the darkness. And I think for us, a lot of times, we just try to make it day by day with no vision of the great things we can do for God and his kingdom. But each one of us has a race marked out for us, like the Bible says. Each one of us has people who are going to change, lives that are going to be different, people who will come out of the darkness and be in the light because of you, because of your vision, because you saw something nobody else saw, because you were at the grocery store and you believed in the person standing in front of you, and then you invited them out. But that kind of vision, or a vision to say, I'm going to be a Bible talk leader one day. I took a picture when we had our last meeting. Ron says, our super region leader, who wants to be a Bible talk leader? And people raised their hand, and I took a whole shot of it, right? But somebody kept their hand up a little longer than everybody else. And so at one point, everybody put their hands down, and Devin still had his hand up. It's like, just so you know, I got vision. And what's awesome is, when you have vision, do you think your dad wants to make it happen? Of course. Our baby Asher, if his vision is to go run a marathon, I'm going to do everything in my possibility that I can do to make sure he gets it. If your vision is to be a Bible talk leader, God's going to do everything in his power. And how limited is his power? It's unlimited. If it's your vision, God will make it happen. It's a question of, do you have the vision for it or not? Here, the son gets the vision, and just because he had the vision, now the doors were opened. So he comes back. Amen? You guys still with me? All right, let's keep going. So he's riding back, walking back, whatever he's doing. And he comes back to the dad. And it says, he's going back. He's got his whole lines rehearsed, right? He's like, okay, Father, I've sinned against heaven. I've sinned against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. So just make me like one of your hired men. Just make me like one of them. And so he comes back and he starts the speech, right? Check it out. When he came to his senses, he says that. So he got up and went, verse 20. But while he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion for him. He ran to his son, threw his arms around him, and kissed him. The son said to him, Father, I've sinned against heaven and against you. I'm no longer worthy to be called your son. But that stops right there. Is that interesting? Because God cuts him off and says this. The father said to his servants, quick, bring the best robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Bring the fattened calf and kill it. Let's have a feast and celebrate. For the son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. So they began to celebrate. So this is incredible. As a son comes back, The son returning from a life of darkness. He hears booing as he approaches. He hears criticism and people saying, I told you so, as he comes back. No, he doesn't hear any of that. Isn't that amazing? There is no criticism. There is no booing. There is no somebody pointing the finger saying, look how bad you really are. Sorry. Look what you did. You think you can come back? You're a sinner. You don't deserve to come back to the house. You don't hear that. Instead, it's a dad running with his arms open. The son doesn't even finish his sentence. And the dad hugs him and says, quick, go get a robe. Go get a ring. Put it on him. Go kill the fattened calf. It's time to party right here. And they throw a party and they celebrate.
Amen.
You know, you go to the world, they're throwing parties, right? Have you ever asked anybody, hey, what are you guys celebrating? What's the theme of your party? Mallard hunting season. I mean, literally, one of the frats, it was like mallard ball, and they had a duck. Like, what are you doing? The other one, 80s ski party. You're partying 80s ski attire? That's what you're celebrating? Like, do you realize like how shallow and stupid this is? But in the kingdom, what do we celebrate? We celebrate people coming back to God. People who were once dead that are alive, like Malika.
Come on,
People who were once lost that are now found, like Fredericks. And I mean, these parties are pretty intense out there, aren't they? Just come over to my place Friday night and you'll see what I'm talking about. But they're not even celebrating anything. Our parties should kill those parties.
That's right, bro. They do.
I mean, can I get honest with you guys? You guys stink at partying. Listen, I've been a bartender. I've seen the world party. And they usually outdo the disciples. And they're not even celebrating anything. There's not even a reason to party. Yet the disciples, we're not in party mode.
Come on.
You know, like, come on, let's get fired up.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Like, who cares? Like, you don't have to feel a little shy.
Come on.
You know what I mean? You don't have to say, be with me, Lord, right? Because Jesus is like, hey, my last words. Like, were you paying attention?
Come on.
Matthew 28:20.
Oh, wow.
I'm with you always to the very end of the age. You know what I mean? It was cool. I was going up to preach Friday night, and I always tell and ask my guys, please pray for me as I'm preaching. Like, please, even right now, just say, God, please help Mike blow this out. I need all the prayers that I can get. Amen? And Joey says, Mike, get fired up. Your sins are forgiven. I was like, amen! And it kind of got me a little more fired up. I think, guys, we got to get more in party mode.
That's right, bro.
You know what I mean? Like we get so, like, literally, God just wants to throw a party for people who are saved. And it's awesome. But Bible Talk should be a party.
Come on, bro.
Like, literally, they should walk on to PCC Bible Talk, and they're like, is this a party? Did I come to the wrong place? I'm like, no, this is really Bible discussion. You're at the right place. We're going to do it really soon right here. Right? They come out to the Fofanas. Is this the party? I thought I was supposed to go to the Bible Talk, but this is the party. Am I at the right place right here? Like, you're absolutely at the right place right here. Amen? Let's party, guys. You know, it's funny when disciples say, yeah, making disciples, change the world. Woo, this is tough. You're right, it is tough when it's on your own power. For anybody who's going to try to change the world single-handedly, that's a rough time. You'll probably get killed at the end. But Jesus says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and take my yoke upon you, for my yoke is easy, my burden is light. So Jesus is walking around with a light burden, right? Right? How heavy was his yoke? Super easy. He's like, guys, come to me, take my yoke, it's light. You're not going to have all these heavy burdens. Matthew 11, 28 through 30, right? So, did Jesus change the world?
Yes.
Was his burden heavy?
No.
So to change the world does not mean you're burdened. To change the world doesn't mean you have a heavy yoke. It's actually, when you're walking with Jesus, he's carrying the burden. Because a yoke is shared by two people. And so you just got to say, come on, I'm not doing it by myself. I'm doing it with Jesus. Guys, changing the world is a blast. Isn't it fun? Like, you should, when we say, hey guys, we're going to change the world, you should be like, this is so easy. This is like stealing candy from a baby. Right? Now that I have a baby, I think twice about that. But changing the world is a simple thing to do. Some of you guys are so burdened because you're not taking Jesus' yoke. You're trying to do discipleship with your own power. Right? And so you're sad and you're miserable and you're complaining all the time, and discipleship is rough, and nobody loves me, and I just want to go have fun with the world because at least they're having fun. But you got to say, no, you're not walking with Jesus. When you walk with Jesus, it's a light burden. It's awesome.
Come on, bro.
And so here, we need to diagnose correctly when people are overwhelmed. They may be overwhelmed because they think nobody loves me. That's not the issue. It's because Jesus is not walking with them. And you got to say, listen, you got to get close to Jesus. Let me help you out. Amen? So the son gets back. This is awesome. He's about to change the world. Party mode, fired up. And then how do we finish the story? Happy ending, right?
Yes.
Everybody lives happily ever after.
Yes.
Partying. No, then the older brother comes in. He says, I slaved for you all these years, and you didn't even give me a goat. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. He had two sons. One son goes and wastes his life in the world. The other son's sitting at home bitter and ticked off. Isn't that crazy? Which son's the better one?
Neither.
They're both jacked up. Yeah. Sometimes we stay in Dad's house for a long time, and we start getting that same heart. I've been here so long. I've slaved all these years, and you didn't give me anything. And so here we see that, just because you've been around the kingdom for a while doesn't mean you're better off. You actually might be more bitter and jacked up than the guy who just joined.
That's true, bro.
And everybody's partying, and you're ticked off in the corner. And so here we see something that is getting pointed out. That you can't get critical. You can't get critical of people. Who was suffering of criticalness, and who was really the one being tortured during that party?
Wow.
The critical guy, the older brother.
Right.
And this is something where, was that brother fired up? Was he giving his whole heart?
No.
That's what critical people look like.
Wow.
They're not fired up, and they don't give their whole hearts. Because they're critical and they're ticked off at everybody else. And when we get to heaven, guys, we're going to have a lot of issues, even when we get to heaven. You understand? You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too, Lord.
It's going to be crazy. Like, you're still going to be a sinner when you die. Amen. Meaning that you still have issues. I'm still going to have issues when I die. But that doesn't mean I don't go to heaven. Because if I'm giving my whole heart to God, striving with all my heart to be just like Jesus, no excuses, giving it all, then Jesus' blood covers up for the rest. Amen. But it's a whole heart, it's giving your whole hearts. So we don't make it to heaven because we're perfect. We make it to heaven because we give our whole heart. Right? God strengthens those that are fully committed. And so here, the second son steps in and is full of all this bitterness and resentment. It seemed like it was towards the brother, right? But who is it towards really? Towards God. See, when somebody's bitter, they're not bitter at the brother. They're actually bitter towards God himself. They don't realize God's teaching them a lesson to make them better. And so they get bitter at people instead. And so what's interesting is this brother in the parable represents, when Jesus is speaking, the Pharisees and the Israelites. And the story is left unfinished. Isn't that intense? It just is left off, hey, get fired up. He was lost, but now he's found. And that's it. But if this is the Israelites, the story's not finished because of the time period it was in. But we actually, if we study our history, know what the end of that brother was. 30 years later, Jerusalem was destroyed. 2 million people were killed. And it was burned to the ground, never to be seen again. The older brother was killed by God. That's what happened. Isn't that intense? And so this has to help us say, okay, I need to be really fired up and not critical. Because criticalness is a salvation issue. And if we have criticalness, we're like Cain. We're murderers. We don't love our brother. That's what 1 John says. And so for us, you have to see, if you're critical, you got to repent. I'll never forget. I fell away, and as I came back, I wanted to get restored, but I still had a lot of bitterness towards those people that never called me. He never called me, and he never called me, and he never called me, and I hate him. And then I read 1 John. And it says, listen, God's love. If you want to be like God, you got to be loving. If you don't live in love, you're not like God. And it literally says it over and over again, all these different ways. Right. Finally, it says, you know what? Don't be like Cain, who was a murderer. Love your brother. Yeah. And when I read that, I was sitting under a cross in Ventura. And I just started crying. Because I realized I'm guilty. I'm guilty of bitterness and resentment towards people who have hurt me. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to forgive everybody right now. And then I'm going to get with them and apologize to them for my bitterness. And so I set up all these meetings, and I got with them. I said, bro, I am so sorry. I've been so bitter towards you, and it's my fault. And you didn't deserve it. And I've been in sin. And I just want to say I'm sorry, and I love you. And I met with guy after guy after guy. And I knew if I'm going to get restored, I got to get over my bitterness. I can't be a murderer like Cain. And that was the second son. He was full of bitterness. You know, bitterness takes you out. Bitterness separates you from God. Bitterness destroys you. It doesn't destroy that person. They could be fine and still make it to heaven, but you won't. And so here you have to say, okay, bitterness is a personal issue I got to repent of right here. I don't want to be like that second son. Amen? You know, who parties more? The world or the disciples?
Disciples, man.
I mean, on Friday night, the people who are playing all their mariachi should feel so insecure because the disciples were just baptizing people. And they walk in, and I'll never forget, when I used to live by USC as a campus student, we used to have parties with the college ministry. And we would have 200 disciples come over to our house a couple blocks from USC on Ellendale Place. And we had this huge eight-bedroom house with all this area. We'd have 200 disciples, and it would be the craziest Friday night party you've ever heard in your life. And guess what would happen? Yeah, Aaron remembers it. He came out. Guess what happened? The cops came. Because everybody's complaining, this party's insane! All these disciples together. And the cops are like, don't worry, we're going to shut this down. We're going in the house. They go in the house. Guess what they're looking for? Where's the beer? Where's the drugs? We're about to shut this thing down. Where's your alcohol? And all they could find were cups of lemonade and water. And that's the miracle of the kingdom. That we party harder than the world, and we don't wake up with a hangover. And we're fired up. We wake up early the next day and spend time with God. Rather than at 1 p.m. and think, oh my gosh, that was so stupid. That's the kingdom. Is that your life? You know, if you're visiting, I want to ask you, hey, come to our party. It's not a party that celebrates nothing, like mallard season and 80s ski season or whatever. Ski whatever. We celebrate the dead coming back to life. We celebrate the lost being found. That's the party we live for. Amen? Amen? And so I want to encourage you, maybe you need to go party by yourself. Maybe you're still a little shy. Amen? Go in your room, turn on some music. You can borrow my speaker if you want. I have a really loud speaker. And just turn it on and just start partying. And it's okay. All right? Pick whatever music you want, whether it's Kool and the Gang or Backstreet Boys or Adele. Maybe it's Mana. Maybe if it's even Morrissey. You can party to Morrissey. You know what I mean? All right? I'll give you Morrissey. All you guys in East LA, you can take that. But I want to invite you to the party. Amen? And say, man, let's have a blast. And realize the kingdom is about a party when we're not living for ourselves, but we're living for the kingdom. We realize we're in Dad's house. Let's not go out to a dark world where we're feeding pigs. And let's get as many lost sons and daughters as possible back in right here. And just say, welcome to the party, guys. Let's blow it out. And let's not have mallard season. Let's have soul season. Amen, guys? Thank you. And to God be the glory.